Yeah, that aside, because I want to move on to the next topic. Yeah, this whole thing at Juneteenth kind of just, revitalized the record, and he's shooting a music video for it right now.
Yep,
So
saw it
that,
online.
yeah, so that's going to be coming out anytime, maybe next week, maybe by the time this episode drops, it'll already be out. But
I feel like
before
that's a
we
lot
move
of
on,
pressure. It's so iconic. He's gonna have to make it like amazing. I'm sure he
oh,
will, but like,
I'm
I
sure he
wonder what
will.
he's gonna do.
I'm not worried at all. If anything, it's just pouring salt on the wound. It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah, here we go. Like, this is just
yeah,
like the encore.
yeah.
But
He's having the time of his life.
yeah, but Raheem, just so for people who may not understand, because, I want to give you some time to talk. If you could explain to people the significance to, like, the importance of why Kendrick performing on Juneteenth was, like, a big deal.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. And for your audience members that may not know, I'm also a visual artist. So this
What?
was kind
Raheem,
of,
I'm so sorry to
yes, I'm a
interrupt.
visual artist.
Raheem, I
Go
want to
for it.
hear this, but Chris, what the
Yeah.
hell cup was that?
It's a birthday gift from
What
my
is?
friend Christopher Cruz.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's a
What is
capsule
it?
corp from Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon
It's a
Ball Z.
spaceship.
Oh, all
Yeah,
right.
So it has a little
Please continue,
cover.
Raheem.
that's very cool.
Sponsor us, please. This is a great mug. I was just sipping on it low key. Alexia made a big deal about it, but
No, because I saw it, I peeped it, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I'm sorry, Raheem. Please
all right, Raheem.
continue.
Sorry, go ahead to your important point, Raheem, please.
Yeah, just completely derailed the train, but it's okay. I'll get it back.
Well, Raheem's about the breakdown the history of Juneteenth, and Alexia's like, "What cup is that? Why'd you?
Well, why'd you show it to me at that time? Why'd you show it to
I've
me
been
earlier?
thinking about it from it the whole time. All right, whatever.
funny.
We're talking going on about a cup.
Okay.
Dragon Ball Z fans represent.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Raheem.
Okay. So what I'll say is being a visual artist, seeing clips of the concert, news feeds, stuff like that, visually, it just kind of looked like the cover for To Pimp a Butterfly come to life. Like, all the dudes on the White House lawn and
Oh,
everything. And just the sense of unity. So I think the importance is like, yeah, it was a beef. And Kendrick was like the whole time, like, yeah, I don't like you, but I also don't like what you stand for. And I think he's showing through his actions like what he stands for. Like he's actually about his coast. He's about the West Coast. He's about his friends. He's about his family. He's about the culture. Like Drake, like for me, his music is take it or leave it, like at face value. But like I also look at like what he stands for versus what he doesn't stand for. Drake has like an enormous platform, and to me, like he just talks about nonsense. Whereas Kendrick also has an enormous platform, and he's always about forwarding the culture. He's won a Pulitzer Prize. His albums are like the face of the culture, like, for the Black Lives Matter movement when all these crazy things were going on, like We're Gonna Be All Right, that song would play and like it would just kind of take me back to that moment of protest, that moment of like having power in the face of like maybe COVID or like all these other crazy things happening in the world. So Kendrick's music, and music doesn't have to be this, but I think music can be elevated when it's attached to like a cultural movement. So like I think what we're witnessing is like a huge cultural movement in hip hop where Kendrick is really taking his rightful place in like hip hop's legacy. Like he's showing through his actions, through this concert, through like, it's not, I'll say like to me it has occurred like it's been difficult to beef with Drake just because of where he is status wise in hip hop. Like aside from like Pusha T, like Meek Mill wasn't even really able to do anything against Drake, and he lost the beef, because Drake just kind of outplayed him. But Kendrick like did what he does best, but he also outplayed Drake at his own game, and I thought that was really interesting too.
Yeah. The other thing I want to touch on is like the significance of him doing the show on Juneteenth is because Juneteenth is an official national holiday which commemorates the ending of slavery in the United States.
Yep.
So kind of having that unity with the gangs on that day, celebrating it, but also talking about, having like his team on there, meanwhile dissing Drake, I think adds like another layer to it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, definitely.
even a lot of the songs that he played on at the show that were not the diss records were even songs that had subliminal jabs at Drake. You know, like even King Kunta when he's like, but a rapper with a Ghost Rider, what the fuck happened? You know, and then when he's playing Element, he's like, if I'm gonna slap a pussy ass nigga, I'm gonna make it look sexy. You know, it's like these all this subliminal jabs that he's taking at Drake throughout all these songs, and it's kind of like I don't think that's by coincidence. Like I've been talking to this guy, but
Yeah, he knows what he's
now I'm
doing.
being more direct. You know, and then when he played the Like That verse, that shit went crazy. And Snoop recently put out a video after the concert saying Kendrick Lamar is now the official king of the West Coast. Because he's like, you know, like that's what kings do. Kings unite people. You know, he's like, you know, he's like that ain't some bitch shit. You know, he's like, that's what Pac did. He's like, and you carrying on that legacy. And as far as like the cultural impact of it, even here in New York, in Harlem, the day after, I think on Juneteenth, they were playing what you were saying, the song "We Gonna Be All Right," like in the streets, and people were having a whole block party, and they were just chanting that song. So it's like these are things that you really can't buy, and that you know that's gonna bring me to my next point and topic that I want to talk about. So that aside, going on to the next topic, I want to talk about this is why the battle between Drake and Kendrick was important and what it represents. You know, because what I think it personally represents is culture versus commercialism.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's
You
like
know,
cultural warfare.
yeah, because the thing is with the Drake fans that Alexia brought up, and it's like, where are the Drake fans? The Drake fans are pop fans. They don't belong to a certain genre of music. They only listen to what's popular. So they only like popular music. Drake is popular. You know, Drake doesn't represent a certain culture, and that kind of goes back to our past podcast episodes when we were talking about who's the greatest rapper, like the greatest MC, and cultural impact had an effect on that, you know, because I know before we had kind of like went back and forth whether or not we should talk about the sales and the numbers, but it's like that doesn't matter because for a lot of people who don't know, who didn't grow up in certain neighborhoods or certain backgrounds or communities, to some of them, and it's not wrong because that's just the genius marketing behind the music industry. They think hip hop is just music. Hip hop is a culture because it is a vocal point, a vocal piece, like a microphone for people who come from struggle and impoverished neighborhoods to tell their story. To be like, hey, this is where I come from. When you look back at it, like in the 80s, you know, early 90s, like when NWA come out, they made songs like Fuck the Police. They didn't make it because they were bored. They literally made it because the police were like attacking them, killing them, arresting them for just being black and standing on corners. You know, you look at KRS-One and the Stop the Violence movement. So obviously, like hip hop has strayed so far from that because it's become more global and more people have entered the quote unquote house of hip hop. So we have different sounds and trends and all that. But really, when you look at it, it is black music. It comes from the ghettos. It comes from the struggles. And like a little history lesson really quick for you guys. I mean, I only know this because I had to do the history on it because as a hip hop artist myself, I did grow up in some of these neighborhoods. My life wasn't as hard as some of these rappers, but the real story behind hip hop to how it was created is that in the mid to late 70s, the school systems didn't have the funding in order to teach music. So they removed all the instrumentation and all that stuff out of the schools. So kids in impoverished neighborhoods and ghettos weren't really learning about art or music or extracurricular activities. So what they did is they took the records from their parents and they started scratching the records, and they found the break, which is a loop point in a song where they looped the 4 bars and flipped it, and then rappers will start rapping on top of it. So that's why there's this beautiful documentary that says hip-hop didn't invent anything, it reinvented everything. It created something out of nothing. It took the records and made them do things that they weren't supposed to, and then rappers started rapping on it. B-boys started breaking. You know, graffiti was a part of it. The dress code, the language, and how you talk. That's why some people, when they hear certain hip-hop music, you know, my parents are like, I don't understand that mumbo-jumbo, whatever, right? And it's like, yeah, because it's a coded language. When they say certain things, it may be dumb, some of it, don't get me wrong, like the shit they talk about now, like a blicky or whatever, but it's always been like that. Like, in KRS-One breaks it down beautiful, where he says hip-hop. He's like, what is to be hip is to be update and relevant, and hop is a movement. You can't just observe it. You got to hop up and do it. So he's kind of saying like hip hop is intelligent movement, So when you look at somebody like a Kendrick who kind of like further champions that, that's what it is. Like he talks about the struggles in black neighborhoods. He came up in Compton. No one has to tell you what Compton is. You know what Compton is. Like, it's a bad neighborhood. A lot of gangs going over there. There's a lot of struggles, Section 8, drugs, shootings. You have the riots that happened. There's a lot of shit that happened over there in L.A. in general on the West Coast. So Kendrick represents that, and he talks about these issues, like whether it be spiritually, racially, culturally, and he also talks about his own struggles of being a black man navigating success. And then on the opposite side, you have somebody like a Drake, who basically just like, yeah, shake that ass, bitch, hands on your knees, and it's just like, oh yeah, like I fucked all these girls broke my heart, and now all of a sudden he's like a gang member, and he got like ops, and he like shooting people. I'm like, weren't you like the dude on Degrassi? Like you bought like stuff, like you're a fan, like you literally, look, I'm a fan of hip hop, but I'm also of the culture. Like, I've grown up in these neighborhoods. I know people that have done some shit and are serving time right now, like, but my point is that you can't really understand it, and I think that's why this is so important, because I think Kendrick, his strategy was beautiful, because he didn't try to come at Drake on a sales tip or like a lyrical level, which you already knew he could like defeat him at. And as you notice in the diss songs, that's kind of like the angle Drake tried to go at him at. Like, yo, I'm the #1 artist. I got the most sales. I got, this many Grammys. Like, you can't touch me. Like, number-wise, I'm out of here. Like, I got as many #1 hit singles as Michael Jackson. It's like, cool, but do you have the culture behind you? Like, what is your sound?
Too, how Drake be taking L's left and right, because after M brought Houdini out, like, Drake is now no longer #1 in, like, anything.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's because when you, like, hear West Coast music has a sound to it. It has a vibe. What is the sound to Canadian music? Tell me. Because that's what Drake represents, right? He's from Canada. What's the sound? He doesn't have a sound.
What is Canadian music like?
I think he represents himself.
That's what I'm saying.
It makes me think of this whole colonizer angle
exactly.
that Kendrick was talking about.
Yep.
And the fact that he had this concert on Juneteenth, like, I just keep thinking about the scene from Black Panther when they're in the museum in London, and Killmonger's like, "Oh, you stole these artifacts, like your ancestors, these don't belong to you." And one of the things that drives me crazy about Drake, I've heard songs and everything, like, he's so mainstream. He rides the wave of like what's popular. Like, okay, like now this is Afrobeats Drake, and this is like ATL Drake. It's like, which one are you? Like,
I think what sucks is he rode the waves, but he also created some of them. Like, he knew how to do that at least.
I mean, he knows what he's doing. Like,
yeah,
I hate to see it though.
From a marketing standpoint, like, I can't hate it. Like, he's obviously like, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to get the numbers. He knows how to mix the songs. I will disagree with the point, though. I don't think he made any waves. I just think he was always relevant. I think he is a professional wave rider. Pause, if that's plausible. Because
it's true.
Because when you really think about it, the sound that he came in on was birthed by Kanye West. Mm-hmm. Kanye West came out with like the more commercial, conscious rap, and it wasn't until Kanye came out with 808s and Heartbreaks.
What do you mean by the sound he came in on?
That like the style. You know how like back in the day hip hop was like, ha 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 ha, I'm walking down the street, dancing to a beat. Like, and then it evolved to like more gritty rap. Like, you look at, like,
when Drake entered the chat, you're saying that it was Kanye's sort of era.
It was Kanye's era, but he followed like that trend. Like, Kanye opened up the floodgates because Kanye started to introduce like different instrumentation, more singing, like a little bit more auto-tune. He literally had a whole album about that. So when Drake finally came out with his first mixtape, he literally took the beat off of one of Kanye's songs and was like rapping over that and, singing over it. So it was like, he didn't really start that wave. Kanye did. And then Drake kind of just like snuck right in, and kind of just wrote it. And now through the years, you've seen him. He's bounced around. He's worked with Future. He's worked with 21 Savage. And he's like now Sexy Red. And he's like bouncing around. But it's like, what is your sound? Like, you even hear it in his music. he does these different accents.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what do you do? That's like me, like, all of a sudden on a record just having a Greek accent. I'm like, what are you doing?
Wait, what?
Like,
I'm not a Drake fan, but like, what do you mean? Because Kendrick does different accents and like voices all the time. So like,
no,
exactly?
different accents and voices, in a sense where, like, okay, if I'm talking like this right now, no, I want to talk like Elmo, or I want to get real deep. You know, like, that's different. That's a different thing right there. But if I'm appropriating different sounds of cultures, existing cultures, like, oh, I'm going to try and sound Chinese. Oh, I'm going to try and sound Jamaican. Oh, I'm going to try and sound Haitian. Oh, I'm going to try and sound whatever. It's like, okay, bro, like, that's weird. Like, that is weird. Now I'm going to try and sound British.
I must have missed all of that then, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
You know, Kendrick even said that in the records. You know,
I don't follow
like,
Drake at all, so there you go. All right.
And here's the funny thing, too, going back to the whole thing with Drake. Because I know for myself, I'm kind of like in the same boat as Alexia when it comes to being Drake. Like, I'm not really a big Drake fan. Like, I can respect, like, he has some good songs. And I guess I've always looked at it from the lens of a lyricist. Like, I'm like, okay, he's had some good bars. Like, that was a good bar. But women I've spoken to or I've dated have, like, literally told me, like, oh, I don't like Drake because I don't like how he, you know, like, addresses women or how he treats women. And to me, I was, like, completely blind to it because I was just, like, looking at it as lyrics. I was like, oh, well, he's just talking about his experiences. But when the whole thing came out with Kendrick and he kind of, like, narrated it, kind of exposing the way that it was, I was like, oh, shit. Now I kind of see what all these girls I spoke to, like, what they didn't see in him. You know, like, why they didn't like it. Because
how
they're like,
did they know how he's treating women?
It's in the music. It's all over the music.
Yeah, it's all over the music.
He makes it very clear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
just like him, like, fucking as many girls as he can in, like, one night? Like
yeah,
that?
or literally making songs about girls. Like, whole songs about them. And, like, you're hearing the lyrics. Like I said, I'm not that big of a Drake fan.
I'm like in the dark right now.
Yeah, to be like, oh, I can tell you exactly what song he talks about this bitch and this chick and that song and that was about so and so. But
I don't know if this is relevant, but I did hear that he had or has a necklace of all the like diamond like rings that he wanted to propose with, and there's like 11 of them or something. Like he was ready to propose to 11 girls and he didn't for whatever reason. He said they were thoughts, they broke up, whatever. But like he bought 11 rings, so he has a necklace. This is what I heard, and I swear I saw a picture, but I have to fact check myself. But I'm like, I guess that is so light skinned of you. Like, what are you doing?
yeah, that's crazy. But the only one that I know that's like, I guess the most popular one, because I don't know about all these other models that are not like famous, they're just popular for being pretty, and I'm like, okay, good for you, was Rihanna, because I know there was a thing where he kind of had a crush on Rihanna, and he thought she was gorgeous, and like they did a record, I guess he tried to shoot a shot, and it was whatever, but they didn't make a big deal, like they kind of left it, and then it wasn't until she came out that she was dating or married to A$AP Rocky, and they were having a baby, and right around that time, Drake released an EP, and one of the songs he was taking shots at Rihanna.
What?
And it's like, oh, come on, bro, like, you being petty. Like, she's a married woman, it didn't work out, she's dating somebody else, like, move on. But like the fact that you decided to make a record taking shots at her, and Rihanna never responded, but that's kind
I
of
wouldn't either.
yeah, but that's kind of this thing, right? That like I noticed, like in hindsight, that these women in my life were talking about, like why they didn't like Drake, because he kind of rubbed them the wrong way, the way how he talks about women or objectifies them.
That is so crazy, because the only thing I heard aside from his like songs, because songs are kind of annoying, because like, okay, he makes bops and they're in the club, they're also one-sided, so he's telling his side and I can't hear hers, so like I don't really take any of them 100% seriously, even if I find it a little bit like offensive, because I'm like, you're probably just, you know, a pussy or broken. Anyway, the only story I actually heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, is when he was caught or whatever, he was sued actually for putting hot sauce in a condom or something.
No, he wasn't sued. Yeah, I remember that. They tried to sue the girl because basically he had sexual relations with a woman. I feel like a politician right now. He had sexual relations.
He tried to sue her?
Yeah, because what happened was they were having sex. He put on a condom. He
whatever.
He did his thing, and then he went to
put
go
hot
take off
sauce
the
in it.
condom in the bathroom, and when he took it off, he put a little bit of hot sauce in there and threw the condom in the garbage. And then the girl
and then she tried to
went in there and
impregnate
tried
herself.
to inseminate herself, and then started screaming because the
Oh
hot
my
sauce.
God.
And so it's like I think she got sued. Well, she tried to sue him, but they countersued her because they're like, well, why are you trying to get pregnant by this man if he clearly wore a condom, threw it out? Like, you literally took a used condom out the garbage and tried to inseminate yourself so you can get pregnant by this billionaire. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
also
He
what
put
he
hot
now
sauce in it.
Kendrick exposed that he has 2 kids, so like what the heck? And then Drake is just loosey goosey with his weapon. Ew. And then like why would you want to have a kid with him? Even if he was famous or rich or whatever, like ew.
Seems like a terrible person. I'm not gonna lie.
And then there was a whole not epidemic, but like a whole trend, like where people were like, "Oh, I'm putting hot sauce on some sperm and like putting it under a microscope, and it's actually effective." And they had this whole thing. So like, I don't know.
What
I think
is
that's a
wrong
wave
with
Drake
people?
started. Like I don't know how he.
Oh yeah, I remember like people were like, oh, Drake's looking out for the people that want to have, like that, not trying to get like,
I mean,
caught
that
up with-
infuriates me because it's like if you don't really want to have kids, like try to cancel me, but like don't have sex then. Hello, like
Alexia.
oh my
What
God,
are you
no.
talking about? No.
But like now you're over here like, oh, I'm gonna do all this and I'm gonna hold this condom that's full, like a whole sack full of my
Why
liquids,
holding it with putting
and
your
I'm
hands like
because
that?
that's how I imagine Drake's holding it.
You look like
Drake's
a little
holding it like
hamster.
this.
You look like a little hamster. Like, ooh, this is so
Yeah, because Drake is like, oh, it's right close to his face too, and he's like, let me open this packet with my teeth, and then he puts the spice in there, and then he like mixes it around, so he's really like all touching it and shit. Like Drake, that's what he did.
Man.
Like, can't tell me otherwise. Anyway.
Yeah,
I
all
prefer
right.
my favorite rappers to not be pieces of shit in real life.
Yeah, facts.
That'd be great.
Facts. But yeah, I mean, going back on to like the bigger topic, not Drake's semen, but
'Cause it is
you know,
little.
that's what it is though. Like people have like noticed a difference, and the way the strategy Kendrick went about it kind of just brought it more to light. And I was like, oh, this guy is actually just like a piece of shit of a person, and we were kind of blinded to it because we're like, oh, he's famous, he's the most popular rapper.
He's even making club hits. Yeah.
He's got all the success. I mean, it's the same thing with R. Kelly, right? People are trying to make excuses for him, and then when it
Because R. Kelly had some like good music, like he had talent for sure, but
when it became irrefutable, like
Yeah.
this guy's a piece of shit, people are like, oh, I don't know if I can support this anymore.
Yeah.
It was like I need to step back. So that's what I think this represents with Kendrick and Drake, like this big gap between them, because Drake is like commercial success. I am a product of the industry, and Kendrick is like, I'm a product of the culture. Like,
Obviously,
I don't know how
head.
to maneuver. Yeah, he's like, I don't know how to maneuver this industry. That's why, like, you saw in the whole battle, Drake tried to play the angle where, like, oh, like, you're on the timer, Kendrick, like, when you gonna drop a song? I'm like, when did that become a thing?
Idea.
That was a horrible idea on his
horrible
part.
idea. Jeez.
That shit bit him in the fucking ass.
Terrible idea.
It was not good. Not good. I mean, Raheem, what are your thoughts on this? The commercialism versus culture on this argument.
Yeah, there is some commercial stuff that I like, but you know me as a hip hop fan, I'm into the underground stuff. I'm into the stuff that makes me think. If it's gonna be a club record, like I like the club records that Kendrick's done. I like the Locks. They do a lot of great stuff, like Jadakiss. He does some stuff that's great for the club, but like he can rap. Like I like listening to people that can rap. That actually
I don't know if I
stand for
could see
something.
you in a club, Raheem.
Well, not anymore.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Alexia.
He knows. He knows.
That's
But,
all right, Raheem. Alexia can't
yeah.
see me in the club either.
I've seen you in the club, Chris.
Okay.
You just stand there. It's funny. I feel like Raheem, though, would be
Ho,
like,
ho, ho. Which club? Are you talking about the strip club?
bro.
We are getting way.
I didn't say that. Like,
I just wondered because I don't remember ever being in a club with you aside from the strip club. Like,
whoa.
Sounds like a whole
Yo,
separate
look at her face,
podcast.
yo. Look at her face.
Behind the Struggle is exposing Chris right now.
Stay tuned.
All right,
Well,
I'm sorry.
because Chris doesn't drink,
You're
but Raheem does. But Raheem drinks like a sophisticated gentleman, so I can't really see him being like vodka cran. Excuse me, vodka cran. Like,
No, I get to the club like I'd like an old fashioned, sir. I don't know how to make that.
the bartenders would be like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then you would proceed to tell them how it's made, and they'd be like, "Get out."
Yeah, like let me come behind the bar.
I got this.
I would make it for you, Raheem.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Oh, look at that. A sophisticated woman knows how to make a sophisticated drink.
Bro,
Okay, I guess she's not sophisticated.
It's a prohibition.
I apologize.
Not
y'all.
in the club.
She knows what she's doing.
I was trying to make a compliment, and Alexia's like, "How dare you?"
How dare you compliment me?
Yeah, I think you call me sophisticated.
I'm just joking because I wouldn't be caught in a club anymore anyway. So.
All right, so we're on the same page. Raheem, back to your club analogy and club songs. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not the stuff like I check for. Like if I'm at a lounge or whatever and they're playing something that's poppy, that's cool. But like if I'm in the car, if I'm working or whatever, I'm gonna put on like a Common or a Lupe Fiasco or a Sky Zoo, just to have that range. And I think where Drake's concerned, it's like, yeah, he sells a lot of records. He does his thing. But at the same time,
But
it's like,
so did
for the culture.
City Boys. What's his name? Andrew
Ooh.
Tate. He sold a lot of kits as well. Chris, are you not
that's
getting
true.
the connection? You're like,
No, I wasn't.
Come back to Earth.
I was like, I was just like, wait, what? I was like trying to wrap my head around the kiss, but I know what you're talking about now. Those courses he was selling.
yeah. So the connection is City Boys, soft guys.
Well, here we go. So this is the connection I'm making right now, which was a perfect example. Drake represents this faction of the internet, like this whole red pill community, fuck bitches, just, use them and fuck them and just get your money up and be a quote-unquote alpha man. That's what Drake's music, like, kind of represents. And then, like, Kendrick is just like, no, this is what it means to be a real man. Like, you're going to struggle. You're going to deal with your religion. You're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to, like, make some tough choices in life. But at the end of the day, like, keep God at the center of it and keep yourself accountable.
This was always the case, but we see this, I mean, at least I do, so much more now after this beef. Like, Drake literally was like, I'm feeling inadequate. Let me just open this can of worms. Motherfucker opened all of them. And now it's literally like, yeah, you're a womanizer. Also, have you ever looked at his face? Like, actually looked at it?
To me, he always looked like a sloth.
Yeah, something is wrong. Like, it's symmetrical, but it's not, like, he's kind of not a 10. And
yeah, like his eyes that kind of like slant like a little bit, like it look like
off to the side.
Yeah, it look like they're like pouring off his face, but they stop like mid melt.
Yeah, that's why all his like album covers and all his photos have to be from the side profile. Literally, has
what
to be
did I
from the
walk
side.
into?
That's just how I like see things, Raheem. Sometimes.
Like I remember when I saw one of his album covers, like from his mixtapes, I was like, this dude looks like a sloth, like a shaved sloth, like no hair, And I think that's why he kind of grew the beard. It kind of like hit it, like okay, now you look like a little bit more normal. Like but before it's like, you look weird. Look like God stopped making you like mid creation. Like at like 89%, he stopped.
No, exactly. Like it almost did it. Like it didn't complete its journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like I never was like, ew, Drake's an ugly motherfucker. But like if you look at his face, you're like, ew, like.
Yeah. It's almost like for you video guys, like you're exporting a video and it's like rendering and it gets to 92% and then it glitches and then it exports without the last 8% being finished. You're like, oh, that's Drake.
Sucks.
Oh god.
Sucks.
Said my dude wasn't rendering. Jeez. Just stop making music, Drake. You're getting killed out here.
I think he's
Finish
already
rendering
done.
first. Finish rendering.
He can't. Let's just hope that his kids can finish rendering before.
Finish rendering.
Chris, this is a podcast. If you're gonna laugh in the mic. Breathe, breathe.
Oh man.
Drake finished rendering before you come to the battle.
And that was his mistake. He didn't.
He was not ready.
And he still came with his fists out. Like,
I'm sorry. I'm so corny. I fucking laughed at my own joke. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. All right.
oh my gosh.
I'm just thinking about his face right now.
Like the rest.
Here, let me share my screen so you can see it again.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
Oh man, like he looks like Sid from Ice Age.
Wow.
That's what he looks like. Oh shit. All right. But that aside, Alexia's gonna fucking bring me back into the spiral when she puts up the video. But the other thing that I don't like that Drake has been criticized with his music, which is what I like about artists like a Kendrick, a J. Cole, a Nas, a Eminem, or a Jay-Z. Like, you saw them grow up. Their music, like, matured. Mm-hmm. And who was it that made that comment? Was it Lupe Fiasco or was it Andre 3000 that said that Drake's music is, like, the target of music? Oh, that was Mos Def.
Mos Def, yeah.
Mos Def
which
made that.
True.
Yeah,
so
which is
like
true.
Target. Mm-hmm.
And it's
he
like,
said
okay,
what?
yeah. He said Drake's music is, like, the target of music. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like, it's
like
it's
like
there.
Target the store.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah, it's there. Like, you go there, and it's there. It's playing in the background. It's everywhere, but it's not necessarily good. Like, it's just there.
Drake did not like that because it's so
Wait,
true.
do you mean a Target, like a Target, or the
No,
store
Target.
Target, like the retail
like,
store.
Like, you know, like when you go to the Target retail store and they're playing music in the background as you're walking through the aisles.
Oh.
Are you literally walking down the aisles like, oh, damn, this shit's banging at Target. You're just like, I don't know, I'm just buying my stuff, and it's just mindlessly playing in the background. That's what he's kind of equating Drake's music to.
What a strange way to say that.
But it's accurate. It ain't a lie.
Okay. Why not elevator music? Okay, sure.
I guess that was more substantial. I don't know. It hit more. Anyways, Drake did not like that. That just stung with him. And I think, you know, case in point, that's why all his fans are, you know, kind of trying to make excuses. And to Alexia's point, it's like, we're all his fans because I saw all these jokes. And I think the jokes are from people of the culture. They're like, oh, we kind of see you for what you are, so we're poking fun at you because we know, like, we don't have the rose-colored glasses where these pop fans, these casual hip-hop fans who are only, like, fans of you. And this is why, like, for me personally, and I don't hold this against Eminem. I love M. Like, M is, like,
what are you going to say about Eminem?
Well, you see this already? You see that? You see that? All right, check this out. But look,
yeah.
Like, M's already got the respect. He already knows, like, people know he's lyrical. People know he could rap. They know the hood that he grew up from. But you have a lot of people who are only fans of Eminem. Like, and they don't know anything else about hip-hop. So they're just like, Eminem's the best. Eminem's the greatest. And it's like, did you listen to anything else?
That's not Eminem's fault.
I didn't say that. But I'm saying it's my whole point to Drake. See, you see? I'm not even, like, hating on M. I gave M props, and then these M fans are like, yo, you better get off my boy. I'm not talking about M. I'm talking about the M stands, like these casual people. And I'm not saying you're one of them either, so before you start taking it like that, but that's what it is. Like, it's the same thing. These outsiders who come
Eminem
in.
has the ability to have fans that are in the culture and out of it.
But that's what I'm saying. And so does Drake. But Drake has more fans that are outside of the culture than in it. That's what I'm saying.
Does Drake have any fans inside the culture?
Who?
Mm.
Yeah.
Does Drake have any?
Yeah, he does. He does.
Who?
I mean,
probably dwindling now.
Yeah, dwindling, but he did have friends in the culture. You know, he had Rick Ross, he had Future, he had 21 Savage. He's got
Obviously
Sexy Red.
Not if they're out here with Kendrick.
But that's my point. That's what Raheem literally just said.
Yeah,
he's like, he does it now. It's dwindling.
Okay, but like side switchers, I don't know if they actually count for being like for Drake. You know what I mean?
Well, Rick Ross is definitely not for Drake now.
Definitely not.
But okay, was there a time and point where he definitely was? Like,
okay,
definitely was?
All right. We're getting off the point that I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is the same thing. Those same fans that occupy that same thing. All right. Let's take the music aspect out of it because I feel like people are going to get caught up on the name Eminem and be like, kill this motherfucker. He hates it. It's like, no, I love M. He's one of my favorites, all right? Let's go to the Marvel movies, all right? Back in the 90s, Marvel wasn't that popular. It was just the cartoons and the comics. And back in the 90s, people used to make jokes about kids who read comic books and collected figures or watched these cartoons. They used to call them nerds or geeks, right? They used to make fun of these people. Look at where Marvel is now. And you have people who are, oh shit, I'm a Marvel fan. I've seen all the Marvel movies. I love Iron Man. I love Captain America. I love Thor. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, you're in it now because it's trending, because it's popular, because it's the easy thing to do. But when it wasn't, you wasn't here. Like, you was side switching, you was throwing dirt on people's names, calling them nerds or geeks. So it's like, now you come in and you feel like your voice is just as important as the people who were there from the genesis of it. So it's the same thing with these, like, Drake fans or these outsider pop fans. Like, these kind of fans who are like, I'm only a fan of popular music, and Drake happens to be like a hip-hop artist, but I like Drake. I think he's the best. He sells the most. He's the most popular. It's like, but is that really a metric that counts? I was like, especially if you don't understand the culture that his music is inspired from. But, you know, so that's kind of my thing. I don't know how you feel about that, Raheem, if you agree with it. And I'm not saying that these people, like, have less of a say, but there's obviously, like, a difference. You know, there's a difference between a kid who grew up in the Hamptons or Beverly Hills as opposed to a kid who grew up in Compton.
Yeah.
They see and relate to the music very differently.
Yeah, very interesting. I think the contrast I want to make too is I remember when Drake was on the come up and he had like backing from Lil Wayne and everything, and like even just hearing him, like he sounded like just like Wayne. So like that to me was like my entry point to Drake. I was like, okay, like he's Wayne's protege. And then I remember he started to get away from like rapping like Wayne and kind of like, I think there was a point where it felt like he was being authentic, but then just kind of like went left and like, all right, well, I've got all this fame and success now, and like I'm untouchable. Yeah. So like now I'm gonna ride all these other waves and stuff like that. But I think mixtape Drake was actually somebody like I would actually listen to and find myself listening to. But like it's just so different now. Like I wouldn't be able to listen to his music, like even before the beef.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, and it's funny because Lil Wayne spoke to Drake about this. There's like an interview or something where he literally told Drake, I think Drake said in an interview where he said like be you. Don't try to be anybody else but you. Mm-hmm. Like, be honest, be yourself. Like, don't try to be like a gangster. Don't try to be this. Just be the Canadian kid that I found that's talking about your experience, your relationships, and your perspective and your view on the world. Like, don't change. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, the ego got to his head so much because Drake was so easy to market that, you know, he found out, okay, in order for me to stay relevant, I got to kind of, like, bounce around. Let me hop on this sound. Let me hop over here. Let me do this. Like, I'm untouchable. Like, anything I do is, you know, I got the Midas touch. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Kendrick touches on that when he's breaking it down, I think, in the third verse of Not Like Us, when he's like, oh, like, you go to Atlanta to get, you know, this from Future. You go from here to get this from Thug. You go to get this, you know, from Titty Boy, from 2 Chainz. You know, he's like, from 21 Savage. He's like, you know, like, you're not a colleague, you're a fucking colonizer. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's kind of what he's doing. He's like, you're going around like you're borrowing these sounds and these influences. And it's funny because I saw someone talking about, remember his music video where he was saying, I forget what the name of it is called. It's like, well, he's like, remember? I don't know, but he looks like he's in Memphis or New Orleans, and he's got like all these pimp caddies like parked behind him. He's got like someone holding like a black baby. He holds the black baby, and it's like, in hindsight, when you look at it now, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth because you're just like, oh, you're just like appropriating black culture to make it be like, yeah, I'm a part of this. See, I got a black baby. I'm with the pimps in Memphis. Like, you know, look at the caddies in the back. You know, like, like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's just not a good look.
It's fake, very fake, manufactured.
Super fake.
Drake is a product. He's a product, you know, himself in the industry. Like, it's all just ecosystem. He's a product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the connection I want to make, is the big disparity between him and Eminem, because I want to just clear that up really quick.
I want to say something about Eminem real quick, too, for you.
Oh, good.
Like, I respect that Eminem has always been like, oh, I'm a guest in the culture of hip-hop and everything. And Eminem is, like, one of the rappers, one of the MCs I respect a lot, too. Because I remember, like, way back, like, when he got his start, and it wasn't infinite because I found out about that later. But the
Mm.
Slim Shady LP, and I remember just like being in grade school and like everybody was talking about Eminem, and I remember Stan and all these other songs they came out with. Like Eminem is like a masterful storyteller, and at the end of the day, he's still like, oh, I'm a guest in hip hop, and LL Cool J is a rapper that I really like, and this, that, and the third. So I like that Eminem isn't afraid to go at people if he feels like he needs to. But at the same time, he's humble enough to be like, I'm a guest in hip hop. And I don't see Drake doing something like that, like where his ego is like out of control and everything. Because like Eminem could like drop an album now and like it would do numbers. Like that's just the
Yeah.
legacy that he has.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the other thing that's great about Eminem is that he doesn't clout chase.
Right.
He's never clout chased. He's never tried to do that. Like Eminem literally like has always said it, and it's true. He's always wanted to be respected and recognized for his skill. That's Eminem's. That's always been M's thing. Like, yo, I want my OGs, like the rappers that I look up to look at me and be like, yo, that motherfucker could spit. Like that's the only thing that ever mattered to him. And Eminem doesn't do that. What I always love about Eminem as well is that he never tried to be something he wasn't. He's like, nah, I'm gonna be the silly guy. I'm gonna talk about me killing my wife. I'm gonna talk about how I hate my fucking mom, like, and my dad wasn't around, and how like, crazy shit I do with my dick or whatever. It's like, and make gay jokes. And it's like, I could do that because that's me. Like that's just who I am. And it's like, you gotta respect that. Because like he didn't try to like, oh okay, like let me try and act more thug, let me try and act more Detroit, let me try and like borrow a New York sound, let me try and do what Atlanta's doing, let me try to go more West Coast since I'm signed with Dr. Dre. Like M was like, nah, I'ma be me. And I think his team around him has like helped him to kind of like stay that way, to kind of like stay true to himself.
Yeah.
It's funny because the other day I was listening to the Eminem Show, which is a great fucking album. I fucking love that album. And I was listening to the song "I'm a Soldier," which is a great fucking record. And literally the first 4 bars of the song, which I'm like, yo, this is how you know like he was never trying to be something he wasn't. Where he says, "Never was a thug, just infatuated with guns. Never was a gangster till I graduated to one. And got the rep of a villain for weapon concealing. Took the image of a thug, kept shit appealing, willing to stick up my neck for respect. If it meant life or death, never lived to regret what I said." And he's saying it right there, like, I never was this. I never was a gangster, I never was that. But, like, I took the rep because y'all caught me with a gun one day.
Yeah.
He's like, and tried to like say that about me. He didn't like come out and like be like, "I'll shoot you motherfuckers with the blicky, hit him with the gat." Like Eminem never talks like that. Like there's been a couple songs where he's done it with 50 when they were like in a beef, like with Ja Rule and them. But overall, he's never really done that. And I think that's kind of like the difference. Like Drake will do these things like, "Oh, I got shooters that are knock on your head top," and he like does all these different accents, and it's like, what are you, John Gotti now? Like what are you doing?
Show Walter White.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really bad. But all right, so here's my last question that I want to ask. So